Anetons, connecting professionals.
So with Microsoft Intune, just want to summarize what we discussed, okay, in sense of capabilities and features. So what you can do, guys, you can do device management, okay, you can do endpoint analytics, application management, device configuration, okay, device enrollment, monitoring, Intune suite add-ons, we'll talk about this, and remote help, okay. So these things. Thanks guys, thanks for joining today's session of Microsoft Intune. So I have crafted this course especially, and it's very deep in my heart. I have spent so many hours to curate this. And first of all, let me give me my introduction. Who am I and why you guys are here? So my name is Vaibhav Kumar Srivastava, and I am part of Anectons Academy, and I'm also a corporate trainer, and I also work at an enterprise as a UC architect and come manager. Okay, so I have like 6 to 7 teams I handled those people. They are from various technologies like SCCM, Intune, Kanzi, Mac, Jamf, and VDI, especially AVD team, and the scripting and automation team which supports PowerShell. Then I have GenAI team who really works for the GenAI concepts, and they try to implement AI in the services and trying to tweak things so they can make it more easier and cut out the human efforts. So let's dive in and make the most of this opportunity together. Is it visible to you guys? Explain what we are talking about. So this is agenda. We'll talk about all these points. Okay, we'll do for the Microsoft Intune capabilities. How does this work in ecosystem? And we'll run through the admin center. Okay, and then we'll talk about the strategic takeaways. Okay, so 90%, as I said, 90% enterprises, they are expecting it by 2025. Okay, and this is on a recent adoption trend data. So which means that enterprises are looking more robust and unified solution on cloud. Okay, they are ready to move, but they are still having a hesitation, or they are still hesitant about the resources or their crucial data which is spread across. Okay, and again, it's very meaningful to take all senses or the devices data from on-prem over the cloud. It is a big migration challenge. Okay, so that is also part of this course which will be taken care as gradually we will move forward. Okay, so 50% of unified solutions people have opted. Okay, in 2022 this data was ran, and they're like 50% of the enterprises, they are moving to Microsoft Intune. And it's just not Microsoft Intune which is currently available as an NBM authority or MDM solution. Okay, there are various other I would say other options available that we are free to explore and utilize their services. And they are also offering so many things which might be better or might not be better. But again, when you are in an ecosystem, okay, you don't want to disrupt things across. So for example, if I'm using Apple iPhone, so I will prefer going with my Apple Mac OS or maybe other devices, but I will try to cope up with the the Apple ecosystem like that. If you are using, because we are so accustomed of using Microsoft, we are heavily overwhelmed with the Windows operating system. We are heavily overwhelmed with Office applications. We are heavily overwhelmed with SCCM, okay, which was formerly known, and now they have changed its name to MECM, which is an on-prem, application, which is like third largest selling product of Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft Intune is widely being adopted across industries, and there are like 13,000. The data when it came, that 13,000 companies, they are using it globally, and these are not just a small companies, they are like in a big scale at the sector wise. Okay, and meet IT services, finance, healthcare, and wherever you go, you will get to see that why this adoption is happening. There is a reason behind it. We'll show you in the next slide. But the adoption is that is strong for the enterprise level. If you are like having more than 10,000 or 15,000, 20,000 plus employees, so it will become a huge, it's like humongous level of disruption to manage those people, their devices and their data, and ensuring that those people are not leaking out any sort of data breaches. Okay, so we need to ensure that yes, all sort of these areas, these like pain areas, which I would say, which are currently shown by all companies, and having this adoption, they are seeing the revenues are getting generated. Those revenues are exceeding. Okay, why? Because there is a flexibility are there, and that's why we are seeing the robust changes. So what does it do? So it is like a robust unified endpoint management. So if you like, in nutshell, every person is having a Windows laptop. Okay, and like I'm, as I say, I have a Windows laptop, I have a Mac operating system, I have an iOS also, and I have Android also. So as a person, I have four devices with me right now. Okay, and all these four devices are coming like from the different set of manufacturers, and different operating systems are there. So sometimes it happens, I happen to uh, believe that if I may share it with someone, so they might have their own ecosystem. And in macOS itself, you cannot directly copy paste anything. You cannot do any sort of admin task without having a privilege. And the same vice versa. If you're moving it to other platform, like if I want to get into Microsoft and I just want to get it something from here, so it will not be a compatibility issues might be there. Okay, so that's why we are requiring a single sort of cloud platform where we can nourish all these things, okay, together in a one format. Okay, we should not have multiple things in a row. Okay, but we have something in a cloud. So cloud, why? Because you don't want to create infrastructure, you don't want to spend lakhs and billions just to ensure that yes, your data and your infrastructure is intact. So that is the one thing. Okay, enhance security and compliance. So the best part is here that you are being secured, okay, with Microsoft Defender, okay, which has already been integrated. And plus on that, you have conditional access, okay, which ensures that yes, the policies are enforced on the device, and it is like, it's not just you left the device as with user, you are also protecting the corporate data, okay, with conditional access. So this integration with Microsoft Defender has make things way beyond the thinking. Okay, and with integration wise, you don't need to worry about doing or having anything extra in your mind. Okay, whatever services you are using with Microsoft, you can easily streamline your user experiences. So if you are a part of portal, like if you're using Office, okay, so Microsoft 365, so again there is a license that you can opt for Intune. If there is any other services like Azure or something that you're using, you can opt Microsoft Intune with that. So many things which are there to help you stepping up and keep moving. All right, so let's talk about next. So this is where I tried making what things does Microsoft says or scream out, what it is, why it is, and how it is. So Microsoft Intune is a cloud-based endpoint management, helps your managers and their user manage your users and their accesses, ensures that yes, your data is protected, and it ensures that compliance across all the devices and applications. So especially when I talk about MDM, so MDM is what it's like MDM is your mobile device management solution. Okay, so this is a comprehensive management that they have designed, which encompasses for your device enrollment. So if you have multiple device, as I talked, so in that sense, you can manage multiple device with this, ensuring that yes, compliance with these enterprise policies are met. Okay. Second is, if you are using your configuration management or configuration management profile. So you can remotely configure device settings. For example, I want to set a certificate for a Wi-Fi, so my only my corporate users can use my corporate Wi-Fi. There should not be any other person like who just walking into office and can connect. No. Second thing is a VPN. VPN tunneling is there, which helps you to protect and stage your data, your identity, your information is intact. Okay, and there are various email settings for the seamless user experience. So many things we'll talk about it. So this is especially for configuration management. Security policy wise, you can enforce security policies. For example, you can set a password complexity requirement. Okay, you can set a sort of encryption. Okay, and you can do check your device health as well. Okay, and as a user or as an administrator, if I say I don't want to bug my user every time, just to check how the device is the device's compliance, whether he's downloading the right applications or he's just going to the dark websites and he's just downloading some exes or something like that. So through remote, you can execute various remote actions. Okay, we'll talk about that. So it's like few of them, like you can lock the devices, you can do initiate a factory reset for iOS and Mac devices. Android, when you are doing a remote wipe, sometimes it does not work. Okay, so factory reset and all that becomes a compromise things. So administrator don't want, if their devices are stolen and they are just like sake of sharing their corporate data. So just factory reset is the first priority to do such thing. Okay, then policy enrollment, policy enforcement is like something that you want to tailor a specific policy based on your user role, okay, and your device type and your operating system. For example, I have Android, which is like version 11 or 12, okay, and I just want to enroll the device, okay, but you will not be able to because there is a device type and there is an operating system, bracket, a minimum version is given, and due to which you can safeguard your environment. Through this, you can monitor the compliance also. In sense, your device every time whenever they are checking in or checking out, they will send a signal, okay, and that will ensure that yes, your devices are complying with the established policies. If they are not, then they will fall in the non-compliant zone. Non-compliant actions are there. So if device is found non-compliant, what you can do, you can mention that, okay, if the device is jailbroken, I hope everyone is knowing what is jailbroken. Jailbroken is something that you try to penetrate in the operating system. You try making changes, okay, without an authority from the manufacturer itself, and you make changes according your way. Okay, maybe you're just doing device has been restricted for an operating system upgrade, but you tweaked it, you jailbroken it, and you have upgraded the operating system of the device. So that sense, the company also does not take the ownership of that device. It gets out of warranty. Okay, so that is one thing. And then we'll talk about the MAM. So MAM is what? So MAM says that it's like mobile application management. So these two, especially these two are the pillars. Okay, this is especially we are talking about only devices. Okay, and this is only we are talking about only the application. Okay, not anything else. So with this, you can only ensure that applications are safeguarded, and with this policy or this this pillar, this way you can ensure that yes, devices are properly intact. So app protection policies here, which says that yes, you create a policy, you apply to the specific apps, okay, and this is how you can manage your corporate data. So if there is anything unauthorized as happening, maybe you have seen that you are not able to copy paste from your mobile. Maybe it's your own mobile, your personal owned mobile, but still when you opening Outlook or Excel or anything and you're trying to copy something, so it does not work. Okay, so that is the encryption because of that. And there is a data handling. Okay, so data handling, what it does, it encrypts your sharing data in between. So MAM is the one who protects your applications and personal apps. So that is how you ensure that the sensitive information is not being bypassed, right? And selective wipe, in sense, if the device is lost by an employee and he just leaves the organization, so you have an authority, you can remotely wipe corporate data without touching or affecting personal data. Okay, so that is the feature. So if I am as an Android user, if I have enrolled my device with my corporate network, and if I'm leaving the organization, or maybe I have some issues with my mobile, I just want to change it. Okay, so I can simply remove the Intune, and or maybe I can ask my service desk team to, can you please remove my device from the portal, so I can easily, or I can use my personal device. I should not be owning any sort of corporate things here on my device. So you can do that. All right. And when we're talking about the integration, so integration means you are connecting two entities together. Okay. So when you are trying, like everyone is aware about what is SSO, okay, and MFA. If not, then I will tell you. So with Microsoft Entra ID, or which was formerly as Azure ID, what it does, it helps you to identify the users, or any entity which is available over the network. Okay, if the authentication is available. So what it does, it helps you to provide the SSO. Okay, and it helps you to safeguard you with MFA. So MFA is your multi-factor authentication, and SSO is again single sign-on. So if as a user you are connecting with your corporate network, it will first ask you to set up multi-factor authentication. Okay, where you need to scan the code, go to your authenticator app, add that account, and once it's added, then it keeps on, every few seconds it keeps on generating the new code, and either you can put that code, or you can simply get the prompt on your device, and you can simply authenticate and you are good to go. Okay, so this is what it does. You can set a unified management, means if the integration with Microsoft Entra ID and Intune happens, so you can set certain group, you can allocate the membership. Okay, you can set certain level of access permissions across the devices and applications. So any user which is part of that particular user group, IC member of, he having access to certain resources or anything on your corporate or corporate or your personal device as an enrolled device. Otherwise he will not be having access to login event. Okay, so this what it does when Microsoft 365 or Azure or Intra, these licenses are given. So these what it does, it combines the access to apps and data together with a one license. Okay, so what you can do, you can control over the security and compliance together without rushing out for any other portal or any other way. Okay, then the last thing is about the zero trust security model. So what is zero trust? Especially zero trust says that this is a modern cybersecurity strategies. So I know people are trying to emphasize to restrict their data before granting access to certain people. So what it does, it continuously keeps on authenticating. Okay, so it ensures that every access request is being authenticated and authorized based on the user identity, or maybe based on the device state, or maybe based out of some other contextual information. So it keeps on checking every parameter, just like you put the password. Okay, you clicked on single sign-on, fine. Then next, are you the right person, part of a group? Okay, in the right group. Okay, fine. Then you will have access maybe in the SharePoint also, if you remember or you have seen it. In the SharePoint, if you are logged in with your single sign-on, then you will get access to certain page. Okay, when you double click on something, if you're not part of that group, or maybe if you're not part of certain level of access, so you will not be having access to go more in depth. Okay, so you will be restricted right away, right there. Likewise, here in zero trust, it is also keeps on checking, and if you having a least privilege access, Okay, it will not grant you any access based on any necessity. It will limit the exposure of the sensitive enterprise data. Okay, if I decrypt it, if I'm in my phone, if I'm trying to do something which is not supportive from my enterprise or my corporate, I will not be given a grant. Okay, so I will be limiting myself right there. And with the dynamic policies, what you can do, you can adopt the risk based on the user's profile, maybe on or by the compliance status. So dynamic policies means it will keep on checking. Okay, so it is not like static, you just kept and you just forget it. Dynamic means every now and then the protection against the threats or other sort of compliance status, it keeps on checking. So moreover, conclusion of having these vital components together in Microsoft Intune, the main motto is to organize everything in a one secured environment, and also it helps you to follow along all these enhanced security features to mitigate risk related to any data security. Okay, so this is the one. Now, how does Intune, what is the ecosystem and all? So ecosystem, it says, as everyone is aware, like Microsoft owned Azure AD, which is Entra ID now. So what is need of it? So this keeps on checking the identity and access control. Okay, so if you are trying to penetrate anywhere, okay, it won't allow you, right? And Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which is especially for the threat protection. So if any sort of sensitive, information, or the device is does not having TPM, maybe TPM enabled, if the device is non-compliant, if the device does not having a minimum OS version or anything, okay, so everything is being checked. Okay, Purview is especially works for the data loss. Okay, so this is especially for the data loss prevention and compliance. So if you feel that yes, my device is theft, what should I do? So any which way the hacker will not able to penetrate. Okay, but you have, as soon you append to your help desk, you tell them that this my device is locked, they can straight away, they can remotely wipe or delete the device and wipe the corporate data. So that is how the data leak will stopped happening. And Windows Autopilot. So how many of you know SCCM and imaging?
Yeah, I know, Vaibhav.
Okay.
Yes, I know. It's deploying.
Okay. So if you go 20 years back, okay, if you think about the imaging process, was it very easier, smarter, or was it very cumbersome?
It was more manual.
The treatment? It was
It
more
was
manual.
more manual. Yeah.
Correct. It was more manual, it was more hectic, and it was like time consuming. Okay, so 20 years, 10 years, now we have Windows Autopilot. So what Autopilot is like, through SCCM also you can create task sequence and you can do all those stuff, but SCCM works only with the domain joined devices. Okay, till then. Okay, now since there is like a co-management came, but apart from that, it is only supporting domain joined devices. Okay, maybe server, maybe Windows. So now since there is a co-management has come, so all the devices which is there on your SCCM infrastructure, if they are eligible, like they are Windows 10 and above, okay, so you can easily move them, those chunks, to Intune, and you can manage it together. So through co-management you can share the through co-management, what you can do, you can share the workloads. Okay, so whether you want to set the compliance policy for SCCM or you want to rely on your Intune, okay, this is the thing. So here what Intune gives you, it gives you a robust access level management. There is integration of Azure AD. Okay, which is more of checking your identity and ensuring that you are the part of the right, access level group. You are given the right access, otherwise you will be blocked. And it is more of cloud, so cloud connected orientation. And Windows autopilot, as I talked, it's a zero touch provisioning, which means you don't need to even do any sort of task sequence on user's machine, or any sort, like you just running off with the pen drive, plugging in and just waiting for the task sequence to complete, and just after 30-40 minutes or 45 minutes, depends upon their network and you pixie, then you provision a laptop. Okay, so those all days are gone. Okay, through Windows autopilot, you can everything you can automate. Okay, and Microsoft Defender is again from the security parameter, it is always there to help you, save your users experience. So it is unified endpoint management, it is cloud first, and it is a scalable architecture. A scalable architecture, for example, I'm running institute, okay, or maybe I'm just a school, okay, maybe I'm a college, and I am giving a privilege to my students, okay, to utilize this on-prem maybe infrastructure. And what if in the month of summer vacations maybe, okay, you don't have the utilization of the resources? So what will you do? You have server, you have other mechanisms, but you cannot scale it up. Maybe if something happens, you are going to merge with other institute or maybe college and school, and your expansion would be bigger. So you need to scale architecture. But here with Intune, you don't need to worry about anything. Why? Because it doesn't matter how many devices do you enroll. Maybe you have 5,000 devices, and next, if there is a merger happens, then you will have 15,000, maybe 25,000 lakhs. Doesn't matter. You can still scale it up without any trouble. Okay, so that is the biggest chaos, I would say, in the enterprise level. Because if you are owning a server, if you're owning the network, if you're owning the operating systems, licenses and everything, it costs you really, really tough, and it's really tough to manage all those stuff. And the key thing is it supports zero trust security model. So that is the biggest advantage. All right. Now, key capabilities and industry use cases. So tell me which industry you guys belongs to. Like, it's not, I'm talking about IT. What about your access level in a corporate as a customer? What type of customers do you cater?
We cater banking environment.
Okay. So in banking environment, and anyone else?
Yeah, myself, Chidam.
Yeah, Chidam.
So we cater here infrastructure for retail and non-retail.
Okay.
Like it might be corporate, non-corporate, and again retail and non-retail. When you say retail and non-retail, basically it's like stores. We have different stores, and also apart from that, we have the warehouses.
Okay.
So there are a lot different combination of equipments which we need to be managing it.
Okay, so I'm very much known to IKEA because I'm very fond of purchasing from there. So I know they have the biggest warehouses and they keep things on stack, and it is very tough for me to see how do they manage, but luckily they do it very much efficiently. So I tried concluding these 4 sectors, okay, which I kept in my mind and I thought of. So just wanted to understand from retail point of view, what is the challenges you think you are getting?
The main thing is that first, we are in a state that we are now trying to migrate from SCCM to Intune because of due to cost effectiveness, and also, however, we need to migrate to Intune. So just to save cost, we are trying to do migration now.
No, migration is the secondary part. Okay. What about the primary one in the retail? What challenges do you think that should come, and are there?
The main challenges. The main challenges are like the devices are shared devices. It always gets full, memory full. So
right.
we need to clear the profiles manually, or we need to raise a request to SCCM so they can run the script to clear the profiles.
Okay,
and
you're taking in a technical way. I'm just talking about in a normal layman language. So in retail, if I say, how would you protect customer data, the sensitive data? What is your mechanism to protect it?
So
Like
generally,
your machine is reading credit card, okay, and at POS system, how would you ensure that it's not getting breached?
yeah, generally it is connected to account Azure M365 account. So the logins basically would be over the network.
Okay,
And
so you already have implementation. So I'm just talking about in general. Okay, anyone else who wants to participate?
I'm from educational sector. Usually we already migrated from Azure,
Mm-hmm.
and then we are using now this some of the branches because we are there's a headquarters and we have 12 branches.
Okay.
So we have only one single repository from the HQ. So meaning
Okay.
we're not yet implement the Intune. Some of the
Mhm.
branches already in headquarters already
Mhm.
implemented the Microsoft endpoint protection, but other
Okay.
features not yet. Still,
Okay.
we are working on it. By maybe by next year, we will because they need
Mhm.
some user cases. Like for example, there's some strategic discussion about how they will protect the data because most of the
Right.
educational data,
Mhm.
even their mobile, even devices, even
Hmm.
in the emails, they need to protect all of these things, especially
Right.
inside frame. So this is
All
how
right.
now checking right now.
All right.
I'm a member on the technical committee, so most probably this will help us in this.
Yeah, sure, sure. I would. It's a pleasure to serve, and if you at least you get something out of it, it is my pleasure. So, okay, let me elaborate more about these four industry which I worked, and I thought of I should be adding it because out of my experience. So. Healthcare, where like if you are coming from healthcare, your paramount priority is to safeguard the data. Okay, your security of data is paramount. So protecting sensitive patient information, patient's data, which is also called PHI. Okay, that should not be breached. Okay, you're like, even though if you are having pre-diabetic or you are having a thyroid or any other symptom, so you don't want to reveal with to even your friends. Okay, and what about those patients, those like they're having a very tough time with them and those data, if so why these data are critical? Because the companies, they are like competitors of each other. So in COVID situation also, if you see, Pfizer was the one who could make the vaccine, but there were other companies who were fighting for getting the human data so they can read it out and they can show the readability is correct, and they are like big data, doing all these ETLs, so they can like load the data, they can clean it, they can identify like what things should work with this symptom, and that so on and so forth. So however, like only one company who got approval, and out of which the vaccines which we took really worked, and we got secured our life. So that is where the security really matters. And these healthcare companies, they also abide regulatory compliance, which is also called HIPAA in sense. So healthcare is very much stringent. They have their very stringent compliance policies, their regulations. So they should abide it. Okay, and data management in sense, if you are having a diverse array of the devices. Okay, there, as you said, like in clinical stuff, they having some sort of different devices, and some healthcare stuff, they are bringing their mobile devices. So they should not take the image or picture of their documents and they send it across, or they can just sell it out in the dark website. So that is where the challenge, where the Intune comes to help you. Okay, why it comes, how it comes, and what it does. So especially what it does, it helps you setting up the conditional access. So conditional access ensures that only the compliant devices can access the sensitive applications and data, and you can defend your devices to turn off their camera, maybe through the policy configuration profiles and settings. You can ensure that yes, camera is not enabled on that device, and there is certain version of that device should come. Why? Because if you are using an old version, maybe you can download some app, maybe from the website, maybe modded app from the website, and you can act as in like you using an original application, but where you get a privilege to take out the sensitive information. So this is where the conditional access, the first thing is you should be compliant. Okay, so that's why you will be able to access the data. And then this comes as a device compliance enforcement. So this is where you check, like you have a baseline, okay, like security patches and all sort of meeting security requirements to ensure that yes, your devices are meeting. And if the establishment is not there for the policies and the device is not meeting the compliance, you won't allow those devices to check in. Okay, straight away you will if the device is not meeting the compliance, if you're trying to open Outlook or any other corporate data, it will prompt you to check your company portal and see where is the problem. And company portal, it says that your device is non compliant. What you need to do, it also says like your password is really weak, change the password, your password expired, maybe you don't have alphanumeric password, maybe you don't have you have a pattern but change it to pin, something like that. Okay, so it ensures that yes, you are complying with the device enforcement policies. Also, there is integration of Microsoft Defender, so which also adds a extra layer of security, okay, which helps you to monitor the threats on the devices. If there is any malfunction or any sort of application that is downloaded from a dark website or maybe some other modded app, that will be triggered as in this app is not right. So this was for your healthcare. The next challenge is coming for finance. So finance is very critical. Like in COVID also, banks were not at last time, at last minute, they sorry, and Aniket, what is the question?
Yeah, so in general, I just want to know that in the device compliance enforcement, the Intune has the default compliance policy, or we could just to add them as per our convenience, or how is it?
The best thing I would say to create by your own. Okay, and every enterprise is having their different sort of analogy. They want their own compliances, they want their own settings, so it's better to check with your client and do that settings according to them. Okay. Anything else from anyone? Okay, so let's talk about the finance. Okay, so finance, what it says in finance, what are the challenges? Finance means like you are owning financial data, okay, of your client, where you need to figure out, adhere to regulatory forms like the regulations like GDPR and FINRA. So these should be like you meeting these compliances from the government side itself. And if you're not meeting these adherence or the regulations, you might ban yourself, like it happens with Paytm. RBI just they were very much legit with they said that they're legit with their data efficiency and they're managing things. But when RBI run through they deep dive, they found that there are like 31 crore wallets which are unattended. They are just there's no one to handle it. There's no association of any KYC or anything. So RBI has put down them for some time. They have there are like some 1 CR or something, some penalties were there, not sure, but that was very tough time for Paytm, and that stock went down and everyone was like, up to Paytm, it will not be there. Okay, but that way they were saying that Paytm is a bank. Okay, Paytm is a nationalized bank and that is helping customers. Now after having this penalized approach, like what they changed it now, they said like we are the biggest finance institute, I would say, who's working in India, and we are the topmost. So the strategy of they changed the strategy, but they still not compliant. So RBI is really stringent about their policies, and they want every finances, banks, they dissolve those banks if those banks are not meeting the compliance. So this is the biggest challenge. And second challenge is the identity management. I am as an employee working, what if I am sharing my credential with someone else? Okay, and he's also acting as an me, or maybe he's having access to my device and he's trying to access multiple applications within the organization. So ensuring security is also a critical part here. Okay, next thing is, how do you mitigate the insider threats? Okay, everyone trying to gain the ATM access, net banking, everywhere. Everyone is looking forward to, how should they, get the sensitive information. So mitigating their insider threats is the biggest challenge. How Intune can help? Okay, again, conditional access. So policies you can adopt. You can, based on your user identity, your device compliance status, you can minimize the risk. Okay, cross-platform app deployment. So if you are thinking that I have a financial app and which is very secure, like your net banking application, maybe from SDFC, SBI, or from any nationalized bank, you want that to be safely downloaded on user's machine, or maybe there is any update coming, then it should be without having any trouble, it should be happening. Okay, so with cross app platform app deployment, the best help it helps you to maintain and control over the corporate data. Okay, so that is the biggest thing. Then app protection, as I already talked, Defender is there, and BYOD and corporate owned devices. So here, BYOD is like bring your own device. I have a personal Android phone. I just want to enroll with my corporate and just want to use it as regular as I'm using my own personal, phone. But there is a catch. Okay, how do you prevent the data loss? How would you ensure that the application's data is not being copy paste, or you just taking a screenshot and sharing with someone else? So here the MAM capabilities comes. Okay, so MAM helps to restrict sharing your data in between personal and corporate apps. Okay, so this is finance. The next coming, manufacturing. So manufacturing challenge, anyone just want to guess what could be a challenge from manufacturing industrial wise?
Design of automobile sectors, or maybe
Prototype. Yes, I was thinking that example. Exactly. So for example, Mahindra is going to launch something new, stylish vehicle. Okay, and I'm being a part of that enterprise level access, and I'm just taking a picture, so just grabbing those prototypes and just sharing with some competitors. So I'll be getting huge benefit out of it, and no one will catch me forever. So this is where the safety, security, and compliant of your enterprise, policies, comes into picture. BYOD policies, when you are allowing your employees to use their personal devices, so how would you ensure that they are not compromising with the finance, like corporate data? Okay, network security is also one of the parameters. Like if you are using IoT devices, okay, in most of the time, so in for the operational purposes and in the technology devices, so there are very much cyber theft chances are very much high. Okay, so that is the biggest challenge in the manufacturing. So to cater that, again, we are having device compliance policies, okay, which you can enforce. Network, you can comply with the network also. App management policy, which helps you both way. If you have a corporate owned device or BYOD devices, you will be consistent with the environment. Okay, and integration of security tools, again Microsoft Defender, and there is a monitoring tools also which helps you identify and mitigate if there is any security threats. So with monitoring, you can set the alarms, you can set the emails, you can set how frequent you want those alarming situation if happens, how frequent do you want the data. So this is something, the manufacturing. And the last one is retail. So Chandam, you talked about, right? So let me see, as I mentioned, like protecting sensitive information of customer, and it should not be breached at POS point of sale systems. especially. So this is also there a problem or challenge with the cross-platform deployment. So if you have some applications which are like that is there on the devices, but that should be consistent across various devices as well. Okay. And the last thing is employee training and access. So training an employee, because I had a very challenging situation, training an employee on the security protocol that he should manage and he should not breach the sensitive information, sensitive data. So these are the biggest challenges in the retail side itself. Okay. For example, we are just trying to launch some product. Maybe we are like a DMart, or we are like Reliance Mart, and we're just planning to do some exercises just to see how the production goes and on. And you have that data in your hand, and you just sharing it across with maybe DMart or some other competitor. So that is the biggest challenge as well. So here the same thing. You have a cross platform, okay, through which you can download, deploy retail applications across various devices, platforms securely. You don't need to worry for any sort of things. And conditional access will help you to your sensitive data, to ensure that your security status on the devices are met. Okay, if those are not met, that means you're not protecting the customer information, and that is where the device will go compliant. And data compliance itself, when you are not following the regulatory terms, you're not securing the devices. Okay, so this is where you can safeguard the sensitive information. So this was the overview, and I encourage you to review your current endpoints and check how Intune may help you in the future. So you identify or you discuss with your client how what are the challenges and how should we mitigate it, and what sort of things we can do with Intune. So accordingly you can frame that, and you can show that. Maybe we can have a discussion more if you need any help. Okay, all right, so let me talk about Admin Center, what it does, and how does it look like, how the device workflow works, and other deployment interfaces. Okay, so how many of you are like comfortable with Intune.microsoft.com? How many of you have already visited?
Yeah, myself, Vaibhav. I have an access, but
Okay.
I have Intune access as an admin,
Mhm.
but till now we are still did not start migration. So
Okay, so you're not
work on
actually doing anything. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Anyone else?
Yes, I'm also aware about this portal and doing some stuff here.
Okay, so
I can share.
I think okay, Adesh. So I think everyone is a bit aware of it, because now if you're coming from SSM background and you're much aware about like endpoint security, so this is the upgraded version of SSM. Maybe I would say than cloud. They Microsoft calls as a different entity and all these sources. So we'll quickly go to Intune. Okay, we'll run through how does it look like first of all. Okay, so this is my tenant, okay, intune.microsoft.com, and I have just created it. And it's been there, I think it's been 1 month now. I had created for my corporate training, and this is how the first dashboard look like. Okay, and if you go to dashboard itself, okay, this is where you can customize things accordingly. And there you see, like, if there is any failure or anything happening in the last 7 days, you will get to see here. So though I did not have any devices, and I didn't have any lab prepared, so I thought of doing this for this session especially, and we'll make it more robust. So we'll do the live demo, and I'll encourage everyone to participate. They also do the like demo, or maybe set up the lab and do all these things which we will run through in this class. Also I also recording it, so I'll also try to keep it with me, and I'll share the link so you guys can have access to this, and you can run through. And after some time, maybe like for couple of months, if you don't need it, we may remove the sharing. So this is how it looks like. This is the dashboard. And when you go to all services, you have flexibility to look for other, sort of things. And you can ensure that if you want to add this to your favorites or what. So if I go to general, if I go to apps, this is how it looks as. It's straightforward. Don't need to do any sort of things. This is the devices blade. So in this sort of things, the left hand side, this is called blade, and whatever things you click here, maybe you devices, so in correspond to this, okay, yeah, you will see that this is devices section. Okay, so don't be confused key why this is coming like this. So whatever you click in the left hand side blade, the same will come. So earlier it was like multi-folded. You need to there was like a scroll bar. You need to scroll it to the way across and just go to that page. Now they have simplified the navigation through which you can easily go and access the pages or the settings accordingly. So we'll talk about this, okay, later more. What it is, why it is, and what sort of these things says about. This is for the device. If you go to, and also if you want, like if you clicked on, okay, this, so you click on this arrow and it will give you more space to work in, and if you want you can just click on this, it will come back. Okay, so with apps, in all apps you see all sort of apps which are there in your organization. Platform wise, if you have Windows, so again I clicked on Windows, now it came back. Now how would you go back? You click on simply this link, it will come back again. Okay, I want to go iOS, it will. So if you are like frequently working with iOS devices, you can simply click on favorites, it will come here. If you click on unfavorite, it will come back again. So in the first column, you will see all your favorites if you're doing any. And manage apps, as we talked about MAM, so you can set the configuration, you can create the protection policies and sort of other things. You can do it from here. Okay, so this is your apps. We'll go deep and dive, but this is just to run through. And with endpoint security, as I talked, like you can set the security baselines and all, and you can ensure that yes, your devices is following along. Okay, you can, and this one antivirus. Okay, so this, what it does, it actually, if you're having any antivirus installed on your device which is not a Microsoft Defender, so it do check all sort of things and gives you data here. So if your device is unhealthy, having active malwares or reusable settings, all the data stuff comes in. So we'll talk more on this. Okay, then come to reports. So report, here you have all type of reports available, okay, which you can simply go and run. Like for data compliance, you can simply click on report generate and it will come here. Again, for data compliance trends, if you just want to see how in 30 days how was the compliance status and everything, how many non-compliant devices and their settings, devices without compliance policies, okay, settings of compliance, policy compliance, all those stuff report, you can figure it out. Okay, and the configuration is something that you have defined certain level of configuration for your devices, and if those are not being met, you can simply run that and get it done. So all sort of reports which are available here. Users, here you can see I have 18 users. Okay, and these are coming from, like, see this I just wanted to show this thing. So this says that they have renamed everything. So anywhere we see like Azure Active Directory, it is now changed to Microsoft Intra. So I have a separate slide in next session, how naming convention has changed. So if you are having old mindset like Active Directory or Azure Active Directory AAD, which is formerly known as, so they have now changed entirely in Microsoft Intra ID, and this has changed in October 1st 2023, I believe. So everything is now changed. So here all users which are there, you can see this is also in Intra ID and this is also here in Intune. And for particular user, if I say I have delegated this user for the team, for a corporate purpose, I have given this person as a Teams administrator sort of licenses, and that person is currently utilizing this as a Intune as a Teams administrator. He's working for a corporate and just giving the trainings. So this is how you can delegate the access. You can check the signing logs for that particular user, okay, and see if there is any failure or anything happens. And if you just want to understand, you need to diagnose something, some problems are coming, so you can also do check. So currently in my environment, this is completely new environment, so you'll not find much data, but just shortly we'll follow along, we will work together, so we will have certain things. Okay, so this was users. Then groups. So groups is a collection where you keep all like your users, and you defined it according to the need. All right, and you have access to all sort of groups which are available. So maybe you have sales team, as you can see, sales is different, marketing is different, HR is different. Then you have VPs, maybe have a different, or you can create a group where you only want to test pilot devices, and you just don't want to roll it out on production. So everything you can create it here, and you can put the policies and everything on that particular group, so that way you can test it out. All right, so that was group. Okay, this is the crucial and the first to do when you are setting up your environment as your first tenant. Okay, so first thing is that your MDM authority. Okay, this should be set first. If it's not set, then you're not authorizing MDM as a Microsoft Intune solution to work for your enterprise and for your devices and compliance and everything. So ensure that this is not unknown. Okay, in most of the cases it shows as unknown, so you need to ensure that yes, it's not set as an unknown. Okay, so compliance policy creation, and also tenant configuration. We'll talk more on that in the next slide. Here, takeaways from this session is like Intune is a strategic enabler for securing your modern work. Okay, your modern endpoints, those are more capable enough now. AI is also built, so many things are there. So you need to be next level of security and data. You need to ensure that data breach is not there, and you must comply with all these new operating systems, new devices with extra leverage and features like fingerprint, and then face camera, and all those stuff is coming. So ensure that yes, you are complying with these. So the Intune is again integrated. You can easily integrate with Microsoft 365 and Azure, and it supports IT controls and gives the users flexibility to access their corporate data without any issues. Okay, so we'll just talk about the last nugget about the key takeaways and the license. So licensing part, I will just show you. I think I have here. Okay, so if you go to this page, licenses page, you will see there like I would say check this one. Okay, this is more easiest way of checking. So if you guys can see it, this is like Intune Plan 1 and Intune Plan 2 and Intune Suite. Okay, so we have 3 plans available, especially if you want to go with Intune services. So here you see that this is the plan, gives you more unified solutions. It is also a part of subscription of Microsoft 365, E3, E5, F1 and all. So this premium plan 1 is the cheapest one which is available, and you can try it for free. Okay, you don't need to pay for anything. And let me give you the differentiation first before we deep dive. So first plan is talking more about your core capabilities. Okay, and this is where it says that it works for cross platform, and you have built-in securities, you can deploy applications, you have endpoint analytics, and you have Microsoft configuration, but it's really least privileges. Apart from that, if you're like availing Microsoft Intune Plan 1, you have options to top up. Okay, top up means you can add on services. Maybe if I say, if I can show you here, or let me finish it, that will be getting confused. Okay, so Intune Tunnel for mobile applications. So this, what it does exactly, it helps you, it gives you a lightweight, VPN solution. So using that, if you are using iOS or Android mobile devices, so that if they doesn't also require enrollment, there is still the data will be safe and the encryption will be there because of this tunnel, VPN tunnel. Okay, then you have in plan 2, if I'm talking about, then you have management of specialty devices, as you said, like augmented devices like AR or something like that, if you have. And if you are like using a large smart screen devices or something, or you have a conference room, so you can manage these devices as well, right? Next comes as Microsoft Intune firmware over the air, which is like it's a technology they have made as a remote firmware. Okay, so that what it is, it constantly checks how your device updates is happening, and if there is any suspension or anything happens, okay, so it triggers an alarm. Okay, it gives you like it gives you a warning sort of things that he is not complying. Intune remote help. Intune remote helps something that you like as a help desk. You connect with user and you take remote, give the best solution, resolve the problem, and that's it. Okay, so the remote help is available with only last option, which is Microsoft Suite. Okay, and these are the privileged ones, which are Microsoft Intune Privilege Management. Okay, Intune Advanced Analytics. If you just want to do more deep and dive in the analytics, and you want to anticipate that yes, user experience is good and you want to improve it more and more, so you need to have analytics. Okay, so that is the best thing. And application management is more easy, app discovery. Okay, so if there is any user is like having their own they have downloaded some application or something like that, so you can easily check and identify whether that application is complying and how the nature of that application. So all sort of things you can do. And the last one is Microsoft Cloud PKI. So PKI, Microsoft is a solution, is a certificate authority which helps your devices to issue the certificates, and this is how you ensures that yes, your devices are meeting the compliance. If those not, then you will not have access to it. Okay, so these are the 3 ways of having your access to Microsoft Intune. Okay, the second thing which I have chosen, I'm really good with this. This one, it says this is also called a sandbox program, Microsoft 365 Developer Sandbox. So what it does exactly, it gives you a small company in a small sandbox. Okay, it's like me, I'm owning this. Currently we guys are connected with Teams, so this is because of this subscription. Okay, and I'll show you for I go here and in my admin.microsoft.com, if I go to your products, so you will see that I am currently utilizing this particular subscription. And okay, just let it wait.